Hey, my name is Cody Scott, and in this video, we're going to be interviewing Kyle Tyndall of Kyle Tyndall Films. He is a wedding videographer and commercial photographer who also works for the state, who's about to retire and go full-time into videography. Let's take a listen to what Kyle has to say. So you're not a full-time videographer, you do it part-time. What do you do when you're not shooting videos?
So as you can see right now, I'm in an office.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of junk around. I
Mm-hmm.
work for Duplin County Schools. I'm on my lunch break right now, so that's how I can do this.
Wow.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, I'm a computer technician for the county and have been for 19 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. And when did you first pick up a camera?
About 12 years ago, it was really all by accident. I work with a lot of people. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
know me because I'm like the computer guy in the
Mm-hmm.
area. And this lady comes up to me, and her daughter's getting married, and she's like, "Hey, you work on computers?" I'm like, "Yeah," and thinking she wanted
Mm-hmm.
me to work on a computer for her. And she's like, "Oh, well, then you can film my daughter's wedding." And I'm like, "No, I don't think so." And she's like, "But you're smart, you can figure it out." I said,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know." She's like, "I'll pay you $1,000." I was like, "Yeah, I can figure it out."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had a buddy that had I think he had like a Nikon. I don't remember what model, but he had a Nikon, and he said it shot video. And I asked him, I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Bro, like I need some help. I'll give you half if you'll just like come help me shoot this wedding." And he was just a hobbyist photographer at the time, but he had the
Mm-hmm.
lenses. He had, the one camera. I got a Sony Handycam from my mom that we had bought her one year for Christmas and used
Mm-hmm.
that, terrible
Mm-hmm.
quality, but this is 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I shot that wedding, and they loved it. They told somebody, and then they told somebody, and the rest is history. I ended up investing in gear, and I started. I say I started about 12 years ago, but I really
Mm-hmm.
started back into it about 7 years ago when my wife, for Valentine's Day, I came home and I had a Sony A6300 and two lenses sitting on the table, and I was like, I've got to do it now. I have to do it.
Oh, what a
So
gift.
yeah, I know, and I just kind of built on that, and that's kind of where that, and now we're here.
Wow. So, man, that's an amazing story. It's happened over the course of 12 years, really
Yeah,
7 years. And I started my company 5 years ago, and your stuff started popping up on my radar within that time frame too.
right.
Um, so what you told me yesterday is that you did 70,000 in weddings
Yes,
last year. Is that right?
yeah. When I did all my taxes and stuff, now that is also including like second shooting for other people. So
Mm-hmm.
I do want
Mm-hmm.
to kind of say this. We have, when I say we, I mean in general terms, videographers and photographers also, like, we're kind of in the same market, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and people tend to want to be very territorial when it comes to their market.
Oh yeah.
But you've got to work with people. You've got to see people as an asset and not
Mm-hmm.
as a competitor. And the reason I say that is I've made so many connections, and I've been able to advance because I've made those connections.
Yep. Yep.
Shooting with others, learning how they light, learning how they shoot, learning how they are able to
Mm-hmm.
edit certain types of scenes, learning how they do their audio. I mean, just different types of connections will yield you. I mean, there's no way to quantify that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that little piece of the pie I made last year came from shooting with other teams and
Mm-hmm.
just being a second shooter,
Yep.
and people need to understand that this is a community effort. Honestly, when you help others, you're helping yourself, and so people really need to know that and have that mindset. And I think that's really the number one thing
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
helped me. Because if you stay in your own
Absolutely.
little bubble, you're not learning, you're not advancing. You have to get out there and make those connections and see people as an
Yeah.
asset.
Yeah, I agree, man. You know, when videographers and photographers first start this industry, they don't understand the learning lesson, which will come over time,
Right.
community over competition. What
Exactly.
they don't realize is that our community of photographers and videographers know more about our industry
Yep.
than people outside of it. So why not just make connections? You'll get referrals from other videographers and photographers. They'll teach you things, and that there's a lot of profit in that, but you can also grow quicker. that way too.
Yeah, I would
Your
say,
skill, you know?
yeah, I'd say probably 25 to maybe 40%. I'd have to look at the
Mm-hmm.
in my books to kind of see like the referrals and stuff. But I would say
Oh yeah.
25 to 40% of my business has been from those connections.
Yeah. So there's a good learning lesson for anybody
Yeah,
watching this. Community over competition every day. Don't be
every day.
territorial because that doesn't help anybody.
No,
So you've done 70,000 in different second shooting and doing weddings
you're right.
yourself and things like this. That was last year. What does this year
Yeah.
look like for you?
So I've already gone over 40,000, and it's
Nice.
half the year. So I'm looking to make between 10 and maybe 20,000 more this year than I did last year. And I'll be
Hmm.
honest with you, is I've got 5 kids.
Yeah.
I work 40 hours a week. This does not come overnight. Now, for some people, it will. Like I
Hmm.
know people that they shot 2 weddings and they're already at 10K weddings each. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
there are sometimes you do get lucky, but
Hmm.
um, for 99.9% of us, you've got to put that work in. And
Hmm.
if I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean,
Hmm.
and I know people hear that, and it's so cliche to say it, but really and truly, if I can do it, anybody can. Because I've done the staying up to 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, knowing that I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And look, I'm no spring chicken. I turned 40 this year.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I'm
I'm
not.
catching up, man. I'm catching up.
Yeah,
I'm 30, I'm 31, so I'm not
yeah.
too far
Well,
behind.
I started about at your age, maybe a little
Hmm.
before. And I think the technology out there now has made it even better for people to be able to get in at a lower price
Yeah.
range. Because when I got into it, I mean, you were having to spend triple the amount to really, have the right gear. Or what I consider to be
Hmm.
the right gear. And now, and I like the fact that a lot of younger people can get into it
Hmm.
and kind of find their passion. I mean, I always had a passion for the art type stuff. Like I was in music. I mean, I've played in bands. I've done,
Hmm. Oh, nice.
drawing and all that and painting. And I've always had like an artistic expression. And I
Hmm.
found at 30, I found my passion kind of too late. And I say that, but
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm glad I found it.
Yeah.
Um,
So this year
so
it seems to be going pretty strong for you then.
yeah,
You have
yeah, going
5
good.
kids. And do you ever think you'll ever transition from your current job into full-time videography?
So yeah, so I work for the state, and the state has several paths of like retirement, and you
Hmm.
can do a 20 year, a 30 year, and it really depends on like your age and stuff. Without getting all the numbers,
Hmm.
I plan to go out my 20th year, which would be 18 months from April.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'll be able to leave, and then I'm gonna do this full time because I only stay because I've put so much time into it. I hate to just leave and cut it out
Yeah.
completely. But yeah, the plans are to in about a year or almost 2 years time to just close this chapter of my life and go. I'm at the point now I could do it, but I want my
Hmm.
retirement. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're making a wise decision. So,
yeah,
for anybody watching this, you have 5 kids, you're about to put your retirement in for this job and go full
yeah,
time with videography, and you
yeah.
are very much confident that you can provide for the rest of all of your family for the rest of your life just by being a videographer.
Yeah, but see, the thing is I mean, I could do it now.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the money on the table, really. I feel like because if I could get these 40 hours back, I could put that towards the business and be
Hmm.
even. I know I can do it. Once you get to a certain point and make enough connections, scaling up really is the easy part. It's
Hmm.
I'm actually having to hold back. And you had mentioned in a post the other day, like, am I running ads right now? No, because I mean I've got all the work I can handle at this point. So no, I'm not
Hmm.
running ads. I mean
Hmm.
it really is truly a blessing, and
Yeah.
God gave me the gift to be able to learn and not be one of those that because you do come across people that know everything.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be a person that knows everything. The fun in doing this is learning. I mean, it truly
Yeah.
is for me.
It really
Just
is.
discovering a new way to edit something, discovering. I remember when I discovered how to track something in After Effects, I was just like, "Oh my god, this is so fun!" But
And then you bring in all your family footage and like start tracking funny things. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah, I've done that. But learning is really the fun part, and
Yeah.
discovery.
So you said you're not running ads right now. So
No,
anyone who wants to get into wedding videography or is currently in wedding videography,
right,
they might be having a difficult time finding leads and booking weddings.
right.
What are you doing differently, or what are you doing that's working for you?
So what's working for me now has taken me up until now to get this going, and that is those connections.
Okay. Yep.
And a lot of people say to get in with like the planners. I don't have any planners, maybe one or two every now and then that refer me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any of that, but I have other photographers and
Mm.
other videographers being booked, doing well,
Mm-hmm.
does good for me because then they'll refer me and I'm getting those dates.
Yep.
And if it's a videographer that's in the $4,000 to $5,000 range, I know that that referral is a good referral. If they've
Yeah.
had to put, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think I just sent a quote off the other day for 6,500. It's my highest
Yep.
one yet, and that's a good feeling to be able to get to that point. But
Yeah.
to answer your question, right now, what I'm doing is I invested in my website last year,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how much
and
did you
I've
invest in that website?
our 5,500.
5,500. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it's already paid for itself many times over.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes time, because of SEO and algorithms and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And people running ads, I will tell you, you have to run them consistently. You can't run them for like a week. Oh, I've not got any leads or any bookings, and so they're no good. No, an ad is just like a billboard that you see on the highway. You may go by that Chick-fil-A billboard 5 and 6 times, and on that seventh time, you know what? I really want Chick-fil-A today.
Got that right.
And that's it. Just sucks when it's on a
And you
Sunday
always
and I
want it
can't
on a
get it.
Sunday.
Yep. But you have to understand that it's a billboard. And I did a case study for myself a couple of years ago, and and the
Nice.
algorithms change, but I just let it run for 30 days, and then I just kept track of everything and went back and looked, and I think I booked 3 weddings and spent like $500. So I may have made. I think at the time I was charging less too, so you kind of have to niche down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Instagram, running ads there, running ads on Facebook. I've done
Mm-hmm.
Google ads. I mean, you just have to be consistent with it. Your
Yeah.
work needs to be consistent. And when I redid my website, I wanted a message to be out there that, and this might seem a little uh, trivial to some people, but I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to look higher end, and the
Yeah.
website I had didn't look higher end.
That's right.
And my website looks pretty. It looks weddingy. It has like wedding colors
It's
in that
gorgeous. I
it
love it,
looks
man.
good.
I just checked it out. We'll pop it up on the screen here,
Right.
so everyone can take a look at it. But it's beautiful.
Yeah. And, everybody was like, man, I can't believe you spent that much money on a digital product. I'm like, well, look, I mean, it's put money back in my pocket. I mean, it's really, there's no value to put on that. I mean, it's going to pay for
Mm-hmm.
itself for years and hopefully.
Yeah.
And, I would just tell people the number one thing that you can do other than making those connections in your community is invest in yourself. Yeah,
Yes.
that new A7S3 or that new, it ain't new now, but it was,
Mm-hmm.
the
I think they
new,
released another one somewhere.
yeah, they got like an A7R5 now or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those are great. I said, sorry to say toys, but they're great toys and tools. They make you feel good to get them in your hands. You feel like, yeah, I've made it. I'm able to afford this gear. But really and truly, I could take my A6300 and do all the stuff I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The
I shot a
dynamic
wedding with an
range,
iPhone just to show people.
you can do it.
First and foremost, the client absolutely loved it. They ended up tipping me way more, which I won't mention
Yeah,
how much, but I
right.
shot it with an iPhone, and that video got 8,000 views in a couple days with an
Yeah,
iPhone, entire wedding, and it was beautiful. As
yeah,
long as you practice lighting and composition, motivated movement, and storytelling, dial those things in. It doesn't matter what gear, and of course, I know this is an objective conversation
it
for
really
this
is.
particular, but you were mentioning investing in yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do that. I've spent thousands on mentorships and
Mm-hmm.
just learning other people and things like that. And if nothing else, but just to challenge yourself to do different things and to step
Mm-hmm.
out of your shell. And, I live in a small community, small town myself, and, there's not a lot of people to do what I do. So I have to, like go out in like the Wilmington area because I'm about an hour away from Wilmington. I have to reach out in like the Greenville
Mm-hmm.
area. I have connections in the Raleigh area and just work with those guys and just kind of learn what they do. And
Mm-hmm.
when you have like a bigger community of people to kind of build off of, when you invest in yourself, you're almost unstoppable. And people
Mm-hmm.
need to lean on their other people, like we said earlier, as
Yep.
an asset instead of a competitor. I can't really stress
Absolutely.
that enough, man. I really can't.
Absolutely, man. When it comes to when you look at businesses, specifically videographers and photographers who are making what may seem like a lot of money to some people, $5,000, $6,000 per project. We're doing 20 to 30,000 just now, and we got more on the way. But
Yeah.
that's because we've invested so much time into building referral networks. We have over 300 clients now that know who we are, which means at any given moment we can get a referral from them.
Yeah.
That's where the big ticket projects are at. And when you run ads and stuff, it's all about quantity at that point. It's like,
Yeah.
and there might not be good quality referrals. Um, so that has worked out really well for us. And it seems like it's working out really well for you too.
Yeah, and the ads work. I mean, but I feel like the ads work better when you're first starting, try to get your
Mm-hmm.
name out. So
Mm-hmm.
once your name's out there and you're kind of kind of your own brand, um, I feel like that's really all that you need. And you said something a while ago, and people kind of try to sidestep it. But story, like telling a good story,
Mm-hmm.
people like a good story.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've said this and I've heard this. You can have really great um, audio with really bad video, and people be wowed by it. But you can have really great footage with
Mm-hmm.
terrible audio, and people can't stand to watch it. And
Uh-huh.
the reason is that good audio is there to help tell that story. I mean, we tell a story
Mm-hmm.
visually, yes, but that dialogue is very, very important. And if
Yeah.
anybody has watched any of my films that I've done, it's very dialogue heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
and
there's a quote on your website I absolutely love by one of your brides. I can't remember it, but she said something like that's what every bride deserves,
yeah,
is something like that. And I thought it was amazing. Something that I've recently had the opportunity to learn from a company called Serrano Films. They're up in Wilkesboro, Wilkes County. They service Boone and Asheville and all them. They do
yeah,
luxury weddings over the $6,000 price point.
right,
And they told me two things that really stuck out. First is the brides who pay really, really well are hiring an artist. They're looking for the artist. They want that
that's
about
right,
section on your website. They want your website to look beautiful. They want to know more about you. They're hiring an artist, not just a videographer.
that's
Those
right,
people, the good quality leads, those people who pay a lot for weddings, they're looking for an artist. And when you go to your website, your new one, you can tell that you're an artist and that you spent time investing in yourself and your craft. That's why you're
yeah,
going to get high paying leads. The second
yeah,
thing that she told me, something you mentioned earlier, that you don't necessarily leverage right now, planners. So she said all of her bookings this year have not been brides, they've been planners who want her style of films in her portfolio on her website. So high
right, yeah,
quality planners are hiring her. So when the video is done, they can use it on their portfolio and it looks luxury. So she doesn't get hired by brides anymore. She gets hired by planners. So um, there's multiple ways to
oh,
land
absolutely, yeah. There's and
weddings.
I think everybody and that's you'll get into some of these videographer groups, and I know you've been in them, and they'll tell
Hmm.
you, get
Hmm.
in with the planners, get in with the planners.
Yep.
I've never had to do that.
Hmm.
That's an avenue people can. Now I get referred by planners, and I've got one right now I'm working with, that's trying to get me on board with one of her companies because she really likes my films, and like you said, it kind of resonates with what her branding is. And that's kind of where people that I've talked to that are charging upwards of $15,000 to $20,000 a wedding,
Hmm.
and that's for video. And that is they will get with a planner that their styles kind of match, and it complements the planner to have that type of footage on their website and things like that. So
Hmm.
absolutely do that. I haven't had to do that yet, and
Yeah,
I've
which is
basically just
great.
worked out. Yeah, and it is great. But I will tell you, like, people will say, well, how are you charging 5,000 a wedding, or how is this person charging 10,000 a wedding? Cody, in your backyard, I helped a friend of mine from up in Maryland shoot a wedding in Wilmington, and he got paid 28,000 for that wedding.
Yep. I remember you telling me about that. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's in my backyard. And
Yep.
I was like joking with him, like, you took that from me. I said, how did you do it? He said, I knew the planner knew me,
Yep.
and him all the way up in Maryland. So it does pay off.
It really does, man. Yeah, those, and the interesting thing, those planners, they don't have a website. Some of those planners you can only find when you're in with a close circle of people. I
Yeah.
have found that to be true. There are some people who just don't exist online, but they're good at what they do.
Hmm.
And the only way to find them is getting in with the circle. So circling back around to what we said earlier,
Connections.
connections and building those relationships. You never know who you're going to run into until you do it. So anybody watching this, if they do want to get connected, there are many groups that you can join, right, Kyle? You can get in with any Facebook group, nevertheless, but there are local chambers of commerce. You can make a ton of connections there, and you can hit up any local or networking group. I personally leverage BNI, Business Networking International. All around the world, they have them, but that has worked really well for me. Are there any groups that you suggest?
Well, I know, like whenever I was starting, a lot of the Facebook groups kind of wasn't like a thing. So I had like some friends in the area, like I told you, like my photographer friend, we would get together and
Mm-hmm.
have like little meetings, like things that we could do, how we could, expand and things like that. Really kind of just dreaming. But I think everything starts with a dream.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you have friends that are in that, I've done meetups before with other filmmakers. I went all the way to Florida for a meetup one time to meet with about 50 other, wedding filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a Ray Roman workshop. I don't know. I'm sure you know who Ray Roman is.
Oh yeah.
And, got to meet him and meet his wife and meet their son and kind of just talk shop with them. I mean, if this is something you want to do, there are resources out there for you to do it. There's no reason in the world that a filmmaker today just starting within 2 to 3 years could be doing $4,000 and $5,000 weddings. Now that I know the blueprint to get there, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I could start all over and do it again because I know the blueprint to get there. You
Yep.
do have to put the work in. That's the problem. Some people don't want to put the work in, but you have to do the work. The blueprint's there,
Mm-hmm.
but you've got to do the work.
Yep.
Um, I can't stress that enough either.
Yeah, the one thing I like about being an entrepreneur is that everyone can define success differently. They can do it in terms of financial, right? Finances as how much money I can make or what their lifestyle would look like or how much time they
Mm-hmm.
get back, measured differently. But success, you can only be as successful as the amount of effort and energy you put into it. Don't expect to like sit back and like work 1 hour a week because you see like these big gurus doing it now that they've made it and expect it to be remarkably successful. It takes time on the front end, and you have to do that for, a couple months, couple years. And down on the back end, you can kind of chill a little bit. You have 5 kids, so you
Yeah.
probably, and I have one, so I give you mad respect. I'm like, one is good, way more than enough. Um, you probably value family time way more, right?
I do, but I tell you, I'm like my dad. My dad's a hard worker. He's 62 years old. He works 7 days a week. He's unstoppable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go take out a tobacco barn and then go put another one in. And anybody that is from this area knows what that's about, or probably knows somebody
Mm-hmm.
who does know somebody one that's about.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, hard work has always kind of been like one of those things that I just kind of grew up around, but it does have its downsides. One of those downsides is a lot of the times your weddings are on the weekends.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm gone from home a lot. But we make plans during the week to do stuff. We're supposed to go out tonight to the trampoline park and kind of have, a
Mm-hmm.
good little time, so we try to do those kind of things. We did a trip to DC a few weeks ago. So I try
Nice.
to make up for it. And get, because you don't get that time back.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one thing I do kind of worry about is all this time that I am spent. And that's another reason I want to retire and go full time with wedding, or actually just videography. And I do some photography too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
is I
Great
want
stuff
is I
too.
want Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Um, I just want to get more time to devote to the business, but also to unrob myself of that other time, like in the evenings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not
Mm-hmm.
getting any younger and they aren't either. And like I said, really at the root of it, I'm doing it for my family because I want a better life for my family.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing it for my family, I need to spend time with them too. So
Yep.
it is a cat, and that's a hard, I mean, it's hard
Yeah.
to find that line. The phone will ring
Absolutely.
at, your phone will ring at 6 o'clock at night, and you're done for today, or at least you want to be. But it's, it's a good chance that if you just get on the phone with them, that you'll book that client. And so it's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
it's
Yep.
hard.
It's a difficult thing, man. Yeah, there's two things. If anybody made it this far in the video and they're watching, there's two things. If you're struggling with family and time management, there's two things that have been helpful for me. The first is set boundaries. your phone will continue to ring and you will continue to take emails because that's the dedication and motivation and persistent type of person that you are. You will just pick up that phone because that's who you are. So it's important to set boundaries. I do that by putting hours of operation on our website and then locking off my calendar so nobody could book on it. That's one way. And sometimes that works. But the second thing that works really well, there's another filmmaker who runs a course school called Full-Time Filmmaker. His name's Parker Walbeck. One thing he said in a Instagram video was he tries to be 100% dedicated to his family when he's not working, and then 100% dedicated to his work when he's working. But when you're around your family, don't be 50-50 because nobody wins. Yeah. Nobody wins. You're committed to work and family. You can't balance it. So if you are working, focus on your work and separate from your family. If you're with your family, just be with your family. That's helped me quite a bit.
I have to work really hard with that. And it's just tough because my office is at the house. I don't have So it's like always being on family time and work time all at the same time. So it's I know my wife, she'll sometimes, and I don't know if you deal with this or not, with something, she'll just like, go to your corner. I know that's where you want to be. I'm like, no, but she knows why I'm doing it, and she's probably one of my biggest supporters. And if it weren't for her, I wouldn't even have started really full time in the first place. So yeah, just that Valentine's Day that she brought that A6300 and 2 lenses, and I was like, I have to do it now. She spent all this money. I've got to do it. And
shout out to all the wives out there who support their husbands. My wife is the same way, man. You can't do life without them. It's amazing. Something that has helped me disconnect work from family. If anyone's curious about that, for me, it's got to be something physical. So I keep my shoes on all day, even if I am working from home at any point. And then when I'm done for the day, I take my shoes off, and that physical change of shoes coming off signals to my brain, you're done working. Doing that over time now psychologically kind of shuts me down for the day. So something physical is what I would suggest if you are trying to transition from work to family time.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because while we were talking about it, a friend of mine, he had during COVID, one of his best friends got a remote job, and or of course a lot of jobs went to remote, but he said that he got to the point that he felt like he was always at work because it was at home. He said he would physically get up in the mornings, take a shower, dress up for work, go get a coffee, go get the newspaper, and then come to work, just so that he had that little, like he was going to work.
Yeah.
And he said when he got done that he would physically leave the house, go get like another cup of coffee or go do something, and then come back and then be finished for the day. Like just that leaving the house and coming back. Like you said, doing something physical. So that made me think of that. And it must be true because people are having to do that with the remote work going on.
It's a new landscape, man. Working from home so much, you gotta adapt and learn. It's a completely new lifestyle, especially if your spouse is there, if you're married. So
yeah.
Man, it looks like we're running out of time here. We got about 10 minutes left on Zoom. I don't want to wait till the last minute to say that I'm thankful for your time, because I am thankful. It's been a long time coming for you and I to chat. Is there anything that we didn't cover today that you want to share with anybody watching this video today?
Just when the leads don't come in and you feel like that you're failing, just know that imposter syndrome, everybody has it. Everybody goes through it. Everybody deals with it. They look at everybody else's work and they get envious and they get jealous and they want to be there and they want to, but everybody's has a different way of doing things. And you just have to remember that the way you do things, somebody else is looking at you and thinking the same thing, most likely. And so we're all, I don't say that, don't look at other people's work to be jealous, but look at other people's work for inspiration. Cody, I look at your work for inspiration. I mean, I look at other videographers' work for inspiration, and just take that and take it into yourself and do the best that you can do, because we're all on different paths. We all got a different, journey ahead of us, and just be thankful that you're on that journey and that you're able to do this, and just keep on learning and keep on doing, and don't let, anything else stop you. And that's the best advice I can give people.
Man, thank you for sharing that. Comparison is the thief of all joy.
Joy.
So
That's
stop
exactly
comparing yourself to people because it's unfair. Thank you so much for watching this podcast. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe to help grow the reach of this community. Until next time, stay motivated. I'll see you in the next one.